One Piece Chapter 1157 Legendary Bar is about the exploits of the Rocks pirates and how they once ruled the seas, even in the presence of the future pirate king Gol D. Roger. It follows Harold's continued efforts of establishing Elbaf as a world government nation. All the while, the Kuja pirates go through a massive transition period, with Shaki relinquishing her position as the leader. We start the chapter off at a philanthropy temple island where the Rocks pirates are looting and fighting off some monks. At the forefront, we see Big Mom, Ochoku, Don Marlon, and Shiki. They're carrying bags of money and the monks are like, "No, don't, that's for children in need." And Big Mom is like, "Oh sure, then why hasn't it been handed over yet? You're gonna keep it for yourself, weren't you?" So we see that the Rocks pirates are not totally screwing over a charitable foundation. They're just taking some money from the rich. Below the ground, we see Kaido and Whitebeard, and Shiki intentionally forgets to lower the elevator so they can come up, and he also throws a bomb underneath, saying how this will mean we get more shares of the pie. The monks, realizing that their cover has been blown, try to close off the gates of the temple, but Whitebeard with his quick fruit tilts the entire island, destabilizing everyone and managed to get them back up. And you have this cool dialogue between Whitebeard and Kaido, where Kaido is jealous of him for having such a powerful fruit, and Whitebeard, realizing Kaido's interest in getting a devil fruit, says to be careful because once you get one, you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. Of course, we know that Kaido's dragon fruit was stolen by Big Mom during the God Valley incident 38 years ago, which is just a few years after this interaction. So it's cool to see that Kaido had wanted a devil fruit for a long time. We see Shiki's rival Kyo realizing that Shiki had trapped him down there, so they fight it out before Rocks tells them to knock it off. Marines arrive to stop them, and Whitebeard is surprised how quickly they dispatched them to intercept them. So he suspects if someone tipped them off. Is this hinting at a mole amongst the Rocks pirates? This provides more credence to that idea that there was one or more Rocks pirates to betray Rocks at God Valley when they fought Roger and Garp. Maybe they tipped them off in the first place for them to arrive there. But in the face of battleships, Rocks stands tall and commands his men to do one thing: plunder. And after this, and only 2 years after the formation of the Rocks pirates, they managed to sink 76 ships, raid 16 different times, destroy 14 ports, and wipe 5 towns off the map, all the while violating international laws and erasing criminal records. And all of this happened when Roger was sailing the seas. This was truly the era of Rocks. He was the most powerful pirate in the world, with the most powerful pirate crew in history. It's clear to see why he was called the greatest rival of Roger. Rocks, had he known about the One Piece, could have easily found it, but his goal transcended even that. And the reason Oda is showing us all of his exploits like this is to show how he accumulated his resources, which was one part of his plan. Obviously, he still needs to get the Galila shipwrights, and of course, he still needs to get the devil fruits, along with his best bud Harold. And speaking of Harold, in the island Enishi, we see some government officials tie up the townspeople in order to execute them for being a non-affiliated country. And Harold finds himself there to put a stop to it. You see, back in chapter 1154, during the year Loki was born, the country of Elbaf had fallen to a brutal famine, and Harold had used the ties he built with other countries to get them the necessary food supply, and one of those countries that aided them was Enishi. So feeling indebted to them, Harold decides to intervene. The government official warns though that doing so will greatly reduce the chances of Elbaf becoming an affiliate country, which as we know is a big part of Harold's character and something he's been trying to accomplish for years. But after the official shoots an innocent girl, he has no choice but to attack, and so he does, and he sinks their ship. Of course, the world government and their propaganda machine, the World Economic Journal, twists the narrative to make it sound like Harold attacked an innocent battleship and that he used the Alliance stink as a ruse. But we know the truth. Back at Ida's tavern, Rocks is like, "See, I told you so, Harold." But Harold doesn't want to hear it from someone with a bad reputation like him. Rocks, however, continues to try to persuade Harold to join his crew, and he is sick of seeing Harold beg and grovel to the world government. We see that Harold has shaved his head and Rocks laughs at him. Garp had done the same, says Harold. Rocks says that Garp is like a pirate too, the way he hates top brass. But Harold explains that yeah, the Marines may have a few bad apples in the mix, but the average Marine helps save people every day, which makes them a fine army. Some giants have even already joined the ranks of the Marines, and if more follow suit, then they could use their giant strength to make a big difference. Since meeting Ida, Harold has transformed into a man with purpose of changing people's perception of the giants from the violent brutes to pacifist leaders. He's already made alliances with different nations, and being a part of the government's army would solidify in Harold's mind Elbaf's standing in the world. And that's why he so badly wants his nation to be a part of the world government alliance, and why he absolutely cannot join Rox in his mission. In the Navy headquarters, Kong, who was an admiral at the time, describes how the higher-ups view giants as a race, saying how they could easily just roll over in their sleep and people would get crushed to death. And one losing temper could mean many lives lost. With such risks, how could the giants coexist with humans realistically? Giants in the Navy is one thing, but anything else is too much. Sengoku realizes, though, that Harold is trying to change Elbaf into a better nation, learning from history. But there are rumors that he might join the Rox Pirates, which would spell big trouble for the Marines. So Kong kinda agrees with the higher-ups. Elbaf haven't exactly been friendly in the past, and their track record leaves a lot to be desired. But that's exactly what Garp is looking for. Garp wants to shape the giants into a functioning military force that fight for the Marines, which is why he wants Elbaf to be a member nation. If it were up to Garp, there would be no question, he says. It's nice to see some development for young Garp and his views on the giant race. He really wants the Marines to be righteous, just, and a powerful force in the world. And judging someone based on anything but their strength and their ability to fight, in his eyes, is wrong. But Garp, if you really feel this way, why didn't you climb up the ranks and be an admiral or even a fleet admiral to influence the decision makers and shape the military on how you see best fit? But no, instead he just sat at the vice admiral rank for years. So I don't know how to feel about Garp saying this in this moment, but I guess he has his reasons. Some time passes, and 42 years ago from the past, the island of Hachinosu gets the word that Shaki, the captain of the Kuja pirates, has left her position, which means she would cease being a pirate. After finding this out, you see pirates fall to their knees. It's hilarious. Some of them set to sail out in the seas in the hopes of being attacked by the Kuja pirates and Shaki, and now that can't happen. But why did Shaki suddenly quit the Kuja pirates? She was still very young, being 22. And so Big Mom questions whether she had fallen for a man like Gloriosa did, which is why she left. Does love always lead to ruin in the Amazon Lily? But Gloriosa is like you would know anything about love, Lin Lin. You crank out kids like it's nothing. While we see a young Katakuri standing on Big Mom's shoulders. And Oven is also there with her. And it's funny how they're still wearing the same outfits from Whole Cake Island. It appears that Katakuri has worn the same clothes for 42 years, which is kind of impressive. But Gloriosa can't even imagine someone like Shaki getting lovesick, and says that she would never forgive her if she went after Roger. Meanwhile, Miss Buckingham Stussy tries to get Whitebeard's attention, but he has no interest in her. But after their little silly moment, Shaki makes her appearance at Hachinosu. And apparently, this moment will be ranked among the greatest, the arrival of the world's most beautiful woman. And so the people there fall to their knees with hard eyes, and they ask if she's come to join the Rox Pirates like Gloriosa. But apparently that's not her intention. She just wants to set up camp here for a while. Even though Shaki is no longer a pirate, she will still be chased around like one because of her past. So rather than deal with that constant hassle, she seeks an asylum under the umbrella of the Rox Pirates. And of course, every pirate on that island is mesmerized by her beauty, so they listen to any demands she has. And she manages to clean up the stinky island to her image. Keep in mind, all this happens while Rox is away, so when he comes back, he's like, what happened here? And what is she doing here? But then we see Shaki's rip-off bar that some of the people there had managed to build. The entire island was buzzed with excitement to see her own place. To just get into the bar, there was a 1-month-long wait list. The Rox crew had arrived just in time to be her first customers. And you have this gag moment where the entire Rox crew is smitten by her appearance. Shiki, Rox, and even Whitebeard. I would have never thought that Whitebeard would succumb to another girl's charm. But I guess Shaki is just that beautiful. This confirms in my mind that Shaki is the best girl in the verse. Seriously, who's had a better feat than this? Her presence changed the entire island's mood and behavior. Everyone sought to do anything that would please her, and she became the treasure of the island, an irreplaceable crown jewel. Rox is amazed at how good the place smelled, and judging by his reaction, he's gonna have no problem letting Shaki stay at his island. But like all treasures, they would inevitably be targeted for theft, and that's when we see the Gorosei at the authority room. One of the 5 elders, Saint Mars, is talking to someone and says to relay this message to Harold. We will accept Elbaf's admission to the world government as an alliance nation on the condition that the warriors of Elbaf must kill Rox. Wow, what a bombshell. Harold will have to kill his friend Rox in order for his country to be finally accepted and recognized by the government. Harold's entire character arc revolves around changing Elbaf's image and for the giants to be accepted by the world. So this could be his golden opportunity to make that happen. But at what cost? If Harold goes through with this treacherous deal, what does that make him? And how does that reflect on Elbaf if the word ever got out? Obviously, Harold won't make this deal with the devil because he values human lives and his relationship with Rox. And we know that ultimately, it will be Garp and Roger who take him down as a part of the God Valley incident. It'll be interesting though to see how we get to that point. And I've always thought that Harold's death had to be related to some deal he made with the government. But I don't think this was the deal. Unless he's at God Valley and takes credit for Rox's downfall somehow, but I don't see that. And how does Shaki play a role in all of this? Is she the reason that Rox, Garp, and Roger fought in God Valley? There's no way, right? She says she wants to live in Pirate Island for a while, okay, but when does Rayleigh get in with her? Maybe she's in Hachinosu because she hopes to encounter the Roger pirates and result Rayleigh? But wouldn't joining the Rox crew be a better way of making sure that happens? I don't know. But one thing I'm sure of now is that we'll see the God Valley incident play out in some form as a part of this flashback. We're too close now and too far in for us to time skip past that. We need to see how this incident happens and how that affects Harold with his deal. But guys, that is the end of the chapter. Did you like it? Did you not? What are your thoughts from Shaki on Hachinosu and the deal that the world government have given to Harold? Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It will be greatly appreciated if you do. And with that, I'll catch you all next time. Peace.